Once upon a time, near a lush, beautiful mountain, a disciple sought the counsel of Gautam Buddha to learn how to manage his emotions. The disciple was having trouble controlling his emotions since he was angry and frustrated. Buddha grinned and requested that he have a seat. "I will tell you a story," he said. "There once was a king who governed a prosperous kingdom. He made the decision to go to the adjacent kingdom one day. The ruler of that realm was reputed to be wise according to what he had heard. The king was received with great honor when he arrived. In his honor, the ruler of the nearby realm had organized a lavish feast. The king discovered a fly in his soup while enjoying the feast. He asked his servant to fetch him another bowl of soup since he was repulsed. When the neighboring kingdom's king observed this, he addressed Your Majesty and begged him not to get upset. It was merely a tiny insect. It makes no difference." "I cannot put up with such things," the king retorted. "Even a tiny fly can make me miserable." "Allow me to offer you some advice, Your Majesty," said the monarch of the nearby realm while grinning. "Your response to the fly, not the fly itself, is what has put you in a bad mood. You are capable of managing your emotions. Do not allow them to manipulate you." The monarch understood the profundity of these statements and went back to his realm. He began practicing the skill of not reacting to circumstances that would typically set off his emotions starting on that day. He discovered that he could handle difficult circumstances with grace and could make wiser choices. We could all learn a lot from the power of not responding. We frequently respond to circumstances without thinking, which might have unfavorable effects. Anger and frustration are negative emotions that can harm our relationships with others and impair our capacity to think clearly. It is crucial to realize that not responding does not imply that we should repress our feelings. Since emotions are a normal aspect of being human, it is crucial to acknowledge them. We should give ourselves some time to examine our feelings before responding in an impulsive way rather than thoughtfully. A young man by the name of Jack resided in another continent. Being a highly emotional person, Jack frequently reacted hastily to circumstances that hurt him. When he was furious, he would say cruel things that would cause conflicts and resentment. Jack made the decision to master his emotions one day. He wanted to change since he was aware that his rash acts were doing more harm than good. He began to meditate and practice mindfulness, which helped him become more conscious of his thoughts and feelings. Additionally, he began to practice the art of not responding. He would step back and take a few deep breaths if he was in an environment that would typically make him feel something. Then, he would calmly examine the predicament and make a considered decision. Jack first struggled to keep his emotions under check. Even though he continued to feel annoyed and upset, he would take a moment to collect himself before responding. He saw that it got simpler for him to maintain emotional control as he kept practicing. Jack also observed an improvement in his interpersonal ties. He stopped picking fights and causing people's feelings to be harmed. Instead, he was able to speak calmly and thoughtfully, which enabled him to forge closer bonds with others. Jack's friend once approached him for guidance. He was upset since his friend was going through a challenging moment. Jack expressed sympathy and support while listening to his friend's issues. "You always know just what to say," his friend said as he complimented him. "You are never offended or furious. It is not that I never feel furious or unhappy," Jack said with a smile. "Simply put, I have learned to manage my emotions rather than allowing them to rule my behavior. It is a strong tool that has enhanced both my interpersonal interactions and general well-being." Jack's acquaintance was intrigued and inquired about his methods for developing emotional restraint. Jack talked on the benefits of mindfulness and the strength of not responding. He urged his friend to give it a try, and the friend was appreciative of the suggestion. Jack developed a reputation for being composed and contemplative over time. He was able to manage challenging circumstances with easily, and others looked up to him for his fortitude. He kept on practicing mindfulness and the discipline of not responding, and discovered that it gave him a sense of contentment and happiness inside. We can all benefit from learning the value of the power of remaining silent. Although it requires time and practice, the benefits are well worth it. We may enhance our relationships, make wiser choices, and lead more rewarding lives by learning to control our emotions. The lesson of the King and Jack story is that we are capable of controlling our emotions. Although we may not have any influence over what happens to us, we do have some power over how we respond. We can learn to manage our emotions and respond thoughtfully by putting mindfulness and the art of not reacting into practice. It is an effective instrument that can raise the quality of our lives in all areas, including our relationships, health, and well-being. So let's invest the time in honing this potent ability and allowing it to improve the quality of our lives. As long as resentment-inducing concepts are treasured in the mind, anger will never go away. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Peace comes from within. Do not be led by your reactions, be led by your actions. Respond, don't react. Respond with reason, not emotion. One who conquers himself is greater than another who conquers 1,000 times on the battlefield. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. The mind is everything. We are shaped by our thoughts. We become what we think. If in our heart we still cling to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. In the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. He who experiences the unity of life sees his own self in all beings and all beings in his own self, and looks on everything with an impartial eye. Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. An idea that is developed and put into action is more important than an idea that exists only as an idea. Let us rise up and be thankful that at least we learned a little, and if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick, and if we got sick, at least we didn't die. If you learned a little from this story and enlightened your mind, consider sharing it and subscribing to our channel. Wishing you peace and tranquility.